You're listening to the Cat Breeder Sensei Says podcast, the show that supports the reputable breeding of pedigree cats. I'm your show host, April Catito, and in this episode, we're going to be discussing the signs of pre-labor and active labor with your queen and how to know when to cancel those dinner plans. Right after this short message.
Do you want to learn how to become a successful breeder of pedigree cats? Now you can. For the first time ever, enroll in an online training course that takes you step by step through everything you need to know to get on the right track. Visit catbreedersensei.com to sign up today and use code podcast21 to get $25 off.
Okay, we're back, and I have to give, you know what, the disclaimer. All of the information that you hear in this episode is based on my personal knowledge or my personal experience. You may certainly have different results than I do. I have a whole list of topics that I'm going to do as episodes for this podcast, but today I feel like it's the perfect time to do a podcast on the subject of how to know when your queen is preparing for delivery of her babies, since today I'm on baby watch. So I'm not going to be discussing any emergency situations in this show, only your typical, quote, normal delivery scenario. So I won't take you through the labor process in this episode either, but I certainly have plans for that in the future. I know when I was preparing for my first litter and even during the delivery, I was just a nervous wreck because I didn't have any knowledge about this subject. You can read a little bit about it, but until you actually experience it yourself, it's hard to describe and it's hard to spot the signs. But still, if you know what to look for and you've heard the information, maybe play this episode a couple of times so you can say, okay, yeah, that's right, I remember hearing that in the Cat Breeder Sensei Says podcast, and this must be it. This must be go time. Okay, so you may have heard breeders say they're on kitten watch or on baby watch, right? This means that the mama is due and they have to hang out and wait for labor and delivery because most breeders want to be present when their queen is delivering the kittens, just in case something happens and some intervention is needed. And that's what I'm on today, is kitten watch. So the average gestation period in a mama is 65 days. Now, of course, it can go anywhere from safely deliver at day 62 all the way up to day 70. So there's really like a whole period of time where it's safe for the girl, the queen, to deliver her kittens. 62 would be a little early, 70 would be a little late. Some people have a limit on how long they will let their queen go before taking them in for a C-section. I personally am opposed to that. Of course, I haven't had to do that yet, but I believe that nature will run its course and that the kittens will come. So again, I have not had to deal with a C-section because my queen has gone so far past day 70 that I needed to do that. I'm sure that probably is going to happen to me eventually, but so far, all of my queens have given birth between day 63 and 68. So the first day of mating you count as day 0, and then the next day is day 1, etc. So if you want to determine the due date, I just go to Google and I enter 65 days from, and then I enter the date, the first date that you were able to confirm that the cats mated successfully. And then you'll have your due date. So today I'm on day 64 and I'm on kitten watch. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that we're experiencing currently and some of the things that I expect to see very soon within the next 24 to 48 hours. So this particular queen lives in the cattery with 3 other girls, and about a week ago I brought her into my home, into the nursery, which is a spare bedroom, and she is prepared in her own private space. I'll call it a suite, where she has a birthing box, and I have it in the closet. It's nice and dark. She has a little private box, and she has fresh linens and puppy pads and everything, and that is where most likely she will deliver her kittens, because it's, in a nice secluded little area. She has been going in there for the last 3 or 4 days and digging. So they will dig up your newspaper or your layers of sheets or pillowcases or whatever you're using, your puppy pads. They just start digging, and that is just the way that they prepare their space to deliver their kittens. So I can tell by what she's doing that she is okay with the birthing box that I have given to her. And this is actually her 4th litter, and kind of know what she likes, and she's going to be totally fine with this. But the digging, they start to do that maybe about a week ahead. She's been doing it for about 3 or 4 days. I lay it all flat, and I say, okay, you're messing up your baby box. And then she goes back in. Next time I visit, which is, 10 times a day, she's dug up, all of the material from the corners and kind of piled it into the middle. So when they start digging in their birthing box, they are preparing for delivery. Now, today I noticed with her that I can express some milk from her breasts. And that usually can take place 24 to 48 hours before delivery. So I'm pretty sure that within 1 or 2 days, we will have kittens on the ground from her. I've also been taking her body temperature, and the body temperature of the queen will decline to less than 99 degrees. So the normal temperature for a cat is about 100 degrees to 101 degrees. So if it drops below 99, that is her body's way of preparing for labor. She will actually get super warm. She'll start panting, and her body temperature is going to rise. So to prepare for that, nature has a great way of dropping her body temperature to prepare her for the laborious event that she is about to endure. So the body temperature drop, that's usually 24 to 36 hours before delivery. So some of these signs are all pointing to within a day or two, we're going to have kittens. So another sign is that your queen will seem restless, maybe even anxious, and definitely more vocal than usual. She has been meowing at me just nonstop, just meow, meow, like, she's trying to tell me, hey, we got babies coming. Make sure you don't go to dinner. Make sure you don't go anywhere. I'm going to need you in here. So some queens like for you to be present with them, and others just want to be left alone, and they're in their own little world. She has actually done both. The first litter she delivered in the middle of the night. She had one little singleton. It was like a little Christmas present. I woke up to and was like, oh, you had one little baby overnight. And then other time, the other 2 deliveries, I have been there with her, and I hopefully, if she doesn't deliver in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping, I will be there for this one too. Now, I know that cats lick themselves all the time, but a queen who is preparing for labor and delivery will lick her stomach more than usual. And that is a way to stimulate labor. So kind of an interesting fact. You'll see her licking her stomach, lick, 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 lick. You just got to pay attention to the little subtle things that she's doing as your signs of, okay, I see what you're doing there. You're licking your stomach. You'll also see her licking her genitals. And this may be from the mucus plug. So just like in female humans, the queen has a mucus plug that comes out of her vagina just several hours before the first baby makes an appearance. So when I say several hours, I've seen it 45 minutes before active labor actually started, and I've seen it a whole day before labor actually started. So when you see the mucus plug, definitely go to Kitten Watch, but don't get upset if labor doesn't start, within a few hours. It could definitely be the next day or 2 days. And so the mucus plug is a thick yellowish discharge. And you may completely miss it because she may lick it away before you catch it. You literally have to be in there all the time, checking on her to see, and checking her vagina to see if you see the mucus plug. Another surefire sign is that she will start spending more time in her birthing box. So that's always the giveaway for me when I see her just sitting in there looking out like, hey, I know what's coming. So they'll go to their birthing area and just hang out there. Maybe they already feel some contractions that you're not aware of. Once the cat starts having contractions, you can see them. If she's in active labor, you can actually see her stomach contracting. But when she starts hanging out in the box a lot, she doesn't come out. She feels something that you can't notice yet. So go to kitten watch at that point if she's hanging out in her birthing box. Something I notice with the queens, if I'm really paying attention, and I'm super anal about details, but I notice that they seem a little irritated. I don't know, they're trying to sleep, but they can't. They probably are having little twinges of contractions and it's getting uncomfortable. And that's what makes them get up and move around and keep changing positions and, seeming restless. You may even notice that your queen is twitching her tail. She may look like she's trying to relax and stretch out her belly and take a nap, but she's not really asleep. You can tell that she's trying to, but she's twitching her tail and getting up and moving around and changing positions because she may be feeling a little uncomfortable. Another commonality that I see in my queens is they become very affectionate. They purr loud. They make biscuits and they just rub on you back and forth or maybe roll on their back and want their bellies rubbed. It's just something that I noticed that basically the majority of them do right before labor begins. One more thing I'll mention about being on kitten watch and knowing the signs to look for to tell when your queen is ready to deliver her babies is the breathing. So you will notice that she will start breathing a little faster and a little more shallow than her normal pace of breathing that she usually does. So just pay attention to her breathing rhythm, and when it becomes a little faster, a little more rapid and shallow, that's definitely a sign of some pre-labor activity. So all of the things that I've shared with you in this episode are things that I've experienced, and I made that disclaimer in the beginning. Now, I know that there's many different scenarios that queens are faced with when they're preparing to deliver their kittens. It's probably literally impossible for me to review all of those, especially when most of mine have been pretty typical to this point. I've never had an emergency C-section. I've never had tragedies during childbirth, so I'm fortunate to this point, and I'm very lucky to be able to say that. So I know that other people have experienced some of those things, and if you're willing to be a guest on the show and talk about some of those things with our listeners, that would be really awesome. That way, we can prepare for some of the not so typical labor and delivery experiences that we may face as breeders of pedigree cats. So just reach out to me at info@catbreedersensei.com and let me know if you'd be willing to be a guest on the show. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Cat Breeder Sensei Says. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review on the platform that you listen to us on. You can also leave a comment on our website. We put all of our podcasts on there as well, catbreedersensei.com. Thank you again for listening. You guys make good choices, and remember, the best way to do things is your way. Bye.